Just a few months ago, scientists announced the San Andreas Fault is due for another major earthquake, specifically in Southern California, where there hasn't been a major quake since 1857.
If you can't, you need to find any means possible to drop, cover, and hold on, because your life is going to depend on it.
Beneath the picturesque state of California lies a ticking time bomb, a green line that ominously stretches for 800 miles through both coastal and inland regions, marking the infamous San Andreas Fault. It is predicted that the San Andreas Fault, notorious for causing deadly earthquakes, is about to unleash a force that could dwarf all previous disasters in the state's history. Recent discoveries have sent shockwaves through the scientific community, indicating that the crack is on the verge of causing the biggest tsunami in history. Can you imagine the devastation such a tsunami would bring? How many lives would be lost? How many cities would be wiped off the map? The San Andreas Fault has always been closely monitored, but the new signs of its imminent collapse have left the US government and Californians on edge. The question is, when will the fault finally give way? Could it be tomorrow, next week, or next year? The anticipation of such a catastrophic event is palpable, and scientists are racing against time to find answers before it's too late. Join us as we explore the ominous signs that the San Andreas Fault is about to crack and the terrifying consequences it could have for California and the world. Let's begin. The San Andreas Fault is a name that strikes fear in the hearts of many Californians. It is a major geological feature, a massive crack in the Earth's surface running for over 800 miles from the northern end of the Gulf of California to the Pacific Ocean, passing through the western part of California. The constant tectonic movement detected around its base is what makes this fault line so dangerous, as it can cause powerful and often devastating earthquakes along its path. Californians have experienced the destructive power of the San Andreas Fault firsthand, with the most notable event being the 1906 earthquake that ravaged San Francisco. In more recent times, a smaller earthquake happened in 1989, and 5 years later, the suburbs of Los Angeles were hit by a more powerful and damaging earthquake along one of the San Andreas' larger secondary faults. While the fault line itself did not move directly through the affected towns, several communities lie squarely on the fault line and are highly vulnerable to a potential earthquake disaster. These communities include Point Reyes Station, Frazier Park, Daly City, Desert Hot Springs, Gorman, San Bernardino, Wrightwood, Palmdale, and Bodega Bay. Recently, Californians have been on edge due to the announcement made by Thomas Jordan, the director of the Southern California Earthquake Center, regarding the critical state of the San Andreas Fault. According to him, the fault line is in a critical state, and a massive earthquake could be looming underneath. This has caused great anxiety among Californians, who are all too aware of the catastrophic consequences of a major earthquake. The Southern California section of the fault line is particularly vulnerable, and according to Thomas Jordan, it looks like it's locked, loaded, and ready to go. The last time this region suffered such a disaster was in 1857, when a magnitude 7.9 earthquake ruptured a breathtaking 185 miles between Monterey County and the San Gabriel Mountains near Los Angeles. That's over 150 years ago, and since then, it has been too quiet for too long. The springs on the San Andreas system have been wound very tight, and the recent announcement made during the National Earthquake Conference in Long Beach has put everyone on high alert, and they're now wondering when the next earthquake will hit and how devastating it will be. To compound the problem, geologists have studied the movement of tectonic plates and discovered that the Pacific Plate is moving northwest of the North American Plate. This movement puts tremendous pressure on the San Andreas Fault, making it all the more likely that a powerful earthquake will occur. According to a report from the U.S. Geological Survey, a magnitude 7.8 earthquake on the southern San Andreas Fault could cause 50,000 injuries, $200 billion in damage, and severe, long-lasting disruptions. This sort of powerful earthquake could last for almost 2 minutes, with the strongest shaking happening in areas like the Coachella Valley, Inland Empire, and Antelope Valley. It could also result in pockets of strong shaking in areas where sediments trap shaking waves, such as the San Gabriel Valley and East Los Angeles. The sewer system could be out of commission for up to 6 months, and an estimated 1,500 deaths could occur. The Southern California Earthquake Center ran a supercomputer simulation in 2010 to imagine the effects of a magnitude 8 earthquake on the San Andreas Fault. They aimed to make the simulation as realistic as possible, including all the force of the real earthquake in 1857. Beginning in Monterey County, it spread southward to the Mexican border, with the LA Basin and San Fernando Valley bearing the brunt of the shaking because of the soft soils there. The expansion of this sphere of influence as shown by the shaking is massive, as Jordan puts it. Sedimentary basins such as the San Fernando Valley, Los Angeles Basin, and San Bernardino are excited by the directivity pulse as energy is pushed down the fault. Although the shifting of the Earth's crust poses a serious threat, it occurs at a relatively gradual rate of about a few inches per year, about the same as the growth of your fingernails. Unfortunately, this movement is not constant. The plates occasionally become trapped, pressing against each other but not moving. When this occurs, yearly movement may slow to a few inches at most. Nevertheless, when the stress becomes too great and the rock along the fault cracks, the plates can abruptly shift several feet, causing the waves that we feel as earthquakes to travel in all directions. There's more going on with the San Andreas Fault than meets the eye. Indeed, pieces of it can be spotted all over the state of California. The Carrizo Plain in San Luis Obispo County is where you can receive your first view of this massive fault. The fault's characteristic scarps and pressure ridges can be seen in Marin County as well. Some sections of the fault are obscured by vegetation and alluvium, while others haven't moved in decades. Roads in major cities like Los Angeles and San Bernardino pass through massive mountains of gouge, or rock that has been pulverized to a powder by the shifting plates. Although the San Andreas Fault is a real place, it's also a geological marvel that has been developing over the course of more than 30 million years. The movement and collision of the plates has pushed rocks from widely separated places together, resulting in a wide variety of rock types on either side of the fault. As an illustration, the Selenian block of granite in Northern California's center region actually came from Southern California, and the Neenach volcanoes in Los Angeles County are the southern half of a volcanic complex that begins 200 miles to the southeast in Monterey County. Even if the location of the San Andreas Fault is disputed, and some people insist it's in North Mexico, there's no denying that this geological wonder exists, and that it's a tribute to the awesome force of tectonic activity and the astounding diversity of the natural world. Throughout the years, numerous myths and tales have circulated about the San Andreas Fault, some of which are not factual. Despite the fact that the fault can produce sizable tremors, the assumption that it can trigger megaquakes of magnitude 10 or more is completely unfounded. An earthquake at the San Andreas Fault can potentially cause a tsunami due to the movement of the tectonic plates. When the plates shift, it can displace a large amount of water in the ocean, creating a wave that can travel across the ocean and reach distant shorelines. This is known as a tsunami. This displacement of water creates a wave that starts to travel through the ocean. The wave's size and strength depend on several factors, including the magnitude of the earthquake, the distance from the epicenter to the coast, and the depth of the ocean. When the wave reaches the shore, its size and speed increase as the depth of the ocean decreases. A tsunami generated by an earthquake at the San Andreas Fault could potentially travel across the Pacific Ocean and cause damage to coastal areas thousands of miles away from the epicenter. It's important to know that not all earthquakes can generate tsunamis. The magnitude, location, and type of earthquake all play a role in whether a tsunami will be generated. Additionally, not all earthquakes that generate tsunamis are as powerful as those that don't. For example, the 2011 earthquake in Japan that caused a devastating tsunami was only a 9.0 magnitude, while the 2004 Sumatra earthquake, which did not generate a tsunami, was a 9.1 magnitude. Overall, an earthquake at the San Andreas Fault has the potential to cause a tsunami, but it is not a guaranteed outcome. The best way to minimize the risk of damage from an earthquake-generated tsunami is through preparedness measures such as early warning systems, evacuation plans, and education about natural disasters. Given the dire consequences of a powerful earthquake on the San Andreas Fault, it's crucial that Californians take proactive measures to prepare for the worst-case scenario. Mayor Eric Garcetti of Los Angeles has been leading the charge in ensuring that the city is prepared for the worst-case scenario when it comes to earthquakes. His efforts to incorporate earthquake retrofits on apartment and concrete buildings have been applauded by Thomas Jordan, director of the Southern California Earthquake Center. Jordan expressed his surprise at the success of this plan and said, "It's remarkable that this happened. We know politically how difficult it is to make these changes. However, there's still a long way to go to ensure that all communities in California are prepared for a potential earthquake disaster. It's crucial that communities in vulnerable areas like San Bernardino County take the necessary steps to become resilient in the face of an impending earthquake." If you were living in an area that is at high risk of earthquakes, what steps would you take to prepare yourself and your family for a potential disaster? Share your thoughts and ideas in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe to this channel with a bell notification if you enjoy watching our content. We upload some awesome stuff here, which you will most certainly enjoy. Hit a like on this video and leave a comment below. See you guys in the next one.